I grew up in Kitale, in the farm. In fact, after Form 4, I was a milk vendor. I didn't want to go to campus. So I went to, there's a place called Cherangani, where they were selling milk at 5 bob. I would go there, but I get milk at 5 bob with my bike. Started with like 10 liters, go to town, sell it at 10 bob a cup. Before I knew it, I was making like 100K a month. And I was asking my dad, why do I need to go to campus, man? I'm rich, you know? And the business had really caught up. He even gave me his motorbike. Okay. You know, I love motorbikes now. I mean, we grew up with motorbikes. He's always been riding. Yes. So now I have my 1000cc BMW that I enjoy out of that, just taking it from my dad. So I used to use the motorbike to go buy milk in Cherangani. So I'll carry hundreds of liters and take to town. By the time I was being forced to go to campus, I think I was making 200K per month. Why do I need to go to Campo? But today I look back, Dad was right. It's always good to probably have that education. You don't know what tomorrow holds, or if there's a milk glut in the market and you're thrown out of business, but you don't have something like a fallback plan. So I went to campus at the University of Nairobi, where I normally say I graduated with 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, and my wife. I got my wife in the maths class. And now we've been married 11 years, 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, all under 8. So I run a nursery school at home. In essence, every time after work, you have to give all the attention to the little ones. We met when we were on 2nd year of campus, and we dated throughout campus. And after campus, finished campus in 2006. So in 2008 is when we got married, 2 years after campus. But after campus, we tarmacked together. It was so much fun. We would come to Uhuru Park after sending CVs all over the place, Upper Hill, town. In fact, we normally joked that if wind came and blew the buildings, only our CVs would be flying all over the place, because it was really tarmacked. So she got a job a month before me. So we got married in 2008. Then we were on a serious honeymoon for about 4 years before we started having a nursery. So we probably needed that to bond much more, because I think that, for me, that period that we were just the 2 of us is what really, I can say, cemented who we are today. I think it's a fantastic thing to do. And I would encourage any young man to actually do it early. You get grounded early in life. I remember by the time I was getting my first job, we even had a joint account from ab initio, and it's been joint account ever since, to date, right? And we've always asked ourselves, how do we grow, how do we plan even our retirement from the day one, so that we enjoy life. Wow, that's a tough one. I must say it's a tough one. So, one thing, I've read biographies of people who've made it in life, and their biggest regret is that they didn't give much to their children or their family. I don't want to be that person. So for me, my priority is my family, and I would tell my prospective employer, I would tell anyone. So that's why even I take, say, sometimes having to work on Saturday with a pinch of salt, because that's when my Kimberly needs to go swimming and having fun and bond with me, because sometimes you come late from work and they've already slept. Though most of the times I would want to be there at the dinner table so that we take dinner together and go. Is it easy juggling, especially given that you're in the FMCG world where competition is crazy and you need to always think of strategies to grow, you have to travel outside town. It's not easy, but as long as I know the priority for me is family, I'll always make time for family. Yeah, and that's important. And my kids, I don't know, when we were growing up, we didn't ask questions to our parents, eh? But somehow, man, my son would be like, Dad, I've not seen you for 2 days. Where have you been? You know? So they also keep me in check by themselves. And one thing I probably need to mention is I had a stint of my career in a country called Gabon. Yes. And that was for 3.5 years with Airtel Gabon. I can say that from a career perspective, it was actually good for me in terms of growth. But my family was here because of our family business that my wife runs. That was a tricky part because I would really miss these guys. Eh? And I actually vowed that I would never do that again. As soon as I came back and joined the IPS, I knew from here onwards, if I have to move to any other country, I'll move with them. And so I've tried to even do the system of education to be such that that can be, they can move to, and adopt to whichever country they move into. So for me, I wouldn't want fear to be the driver. It's more from a responsibility angle that I would want them to adopt, to know that either this is wrong to do, or this is right. It's and not the fact that you know that you're gonna be beaten. You see, I look at how, say for example me, when I drive, you see police. Even before you do anything, you're just panicking because there's that element of fear. But I don't want it to be, I'm doing something because police, I have to belt up because police will catch me. But I want to belt up because it's important for me. It's probably following the rule of law. It's my own safety and things like that. So I want my kid not to come from a fear perspective, but from a point of responsibility. You've taught them responsibility. But sometimes a little fear doesn't hurt. But I would lean more towards making them much more responsible. Oh man. Okay, so I've done those tests. They're called what? This HR metric tests that they do, whether to know whether you are thinking with your head, heart. So I have to do a balance of the two. I know I'm a heart guy. Like you've just pointed, I don't know, you must be very good in reading people. I know I'm a heart guy, and I think it's very important for every leader to actually lead both by heart and by head. You know, there's the emotional connection between yourselves and the employees, between yourself and the brand, between yourself and the consumer, which comes from the soft aspect, which comes from the heart. But then there are decisions that are driven by the analytical aspect of the business. And sometimes you have to put the heart aside because numbers dictate otherwise, okay? But even as you do that, how are you doing it in the most humane of manner? You know, if you're going through, say, a restructuring process, for example, you'll have to impact people. From an analytical point of view, it may actually be worthwhile for this restructuring process to go on, okay? That's because you're trying to probably save the bigger picture. If you were to, not to do it, you probably bring the whole company down, and you'll make a lot of people, lose employment and all. But some people might have to be affected. The question is, how do you handle those few in the midst of all this thought process? So I think a balance of the two is very important. But I believe every leader should have a good balance of the two. So what really helps is the heart thing. The heart thing, thinking with the heart as well. When you go home, there's a way your wife, your children mellows you, they mellow your heart, and you just know how to behave outside the work environment. These are people who are almost, okay, not to say that people at work don't look up to you, but you're whatever you do. In fact, there's something about boys, for example. My son, he wants to be like you. So something always tells you you have to be at your best to be able to give the best example to your children. And then my wife is also a strong character, and a good disciplinarian. That really helps in the house and makes me even sometimes take a back seat, you know, when there's big decisions like invading Iraq or such stuff, is when I come in. I'm actually a frugal guy, in terms of spending. I think this is because of their upbringing. But if I was to say, you see, when, say for example, the bike, I would even think of buying another one. Yet I don't use that one as much, you know. And I ask myself, probably I need one. She just contains me, yeah. Brenda says you don't ride this thing as often, because I'll probably do Fridays or a weekend. But without thinking, I'd get 2 more maybe, yeah. When I look at bikes, there's an element of risk to it, okay? So the speed sort of says how things should be done. You know, quick. There are risks on the way, okay? But if you mitigate the risks by probably wearing the right gear and you know, calculated speed within the, you know, limits of the law, yeah, then you should be able to achieve whatever it is that you want in life. But there's a thrill that comes with that. And I think it's something that probably is already in my blood, having seen my dad go to work in a bike since I was a kid. Yes and no. Yeah. So if I use my example, yeah, no, in the sense that I've not been a military guy in how I treat my kids. You know, how my way of disciplining my kids, right? That one was more from authoritarian kind of leadership that we all grew up with during our times. But as far as emulating what Dad was, I mean, is actually, you see, I'm doing the bikes. He loved his cameras. I love my camera. I wanted to be a soldier, by the way. He also refused. So after selling milk, I said, no need to go campus. Let me just go to Armed Forces Street. But he told me, just go to campus. If you, after campus, you still want to do it, come and do it. And then, you know, life just happened after that. But yeah, so in essence, yes, I think there's this admiration that we have for our dads, especially for the boys, that you always want to become. And that's why today, it's very important to me, for me, what I do, because I know my son is emulating. My son is emulating what I do, and you always want to be the great example to that little man. I wish everyone did their job, so that they don't make you have to make very hard decisions. You know, especially letting people go. It's like I told you, I think with my heart. It's the hardest thing to do. So, if only they would help me so that I don't have to do that, then that would be fantastic. Everyone just does it. I don't like when you have to see people. Some people have to go, yeah. But sometimes it has to be done, because when it's all said and done, you have to lead a performance-driven culture within the organization. You give people chances. You take them on performance improvement plans. Some turn around, which is very good, but then some actually make you have to take the hard decisions. But then, you know, there's implications of family and all these things. It's never easy, but it has to be done. It would probably go back to after my second year in Gabon, being when I would think that my daughter and my son, then I think I only had 2 children, are growing up without me. And every other time, my wife would send me a video of Kimberly starting to walk. I missed that milestone. His first word or something, I missed that milestone. And that's why, in fact, I think the biggest one is when my third born was born. So when all my kids When they were born, I've been in the delivery room together, holding my wife's hand. But I missed Karen's, the third girl, the third born, second born girl. I had just flown from Gabon through Rwanda, and while I was in Rwanda, an hour to Nairobi, my wife tells me, I think the baby is coming. And I'm like, oh man, you have to wait for me. Then I land at JKIA about 7 p.m. and Karen was born.